kind of fighting for Wi-Fi with the kids playing on their games. That's just a thing. But, alright, so this is, ending of the song is coming. Of course, I'm not going to stay on here longer than what you guys are willing to be on here with me. We have this time for up to 1 hour. We are talking about going from me to we, making that transition to adding someone to your life. Thank you so much, G-Eazy and Babe Rixa, for the song. But it is now time for us to dive into this thing. And hopefully I'm able to see everyone's comments tonight, because sometimes I literally get the comments after this is over. So if I miss anything, my apologies. Blame it on technology, not me. Technology is only great to me when it works. Again, welcome everybody to the O.P.P Vibe, formerly known as Sex and Relationship Chat. I am your host, life coach, and certified sexologist, Coach K. As most of you know, I have a huge dedication in working with women and helping you to understand, acknowledge, and accept your value, your worth, and of course, setting those personal boundaries. And we do it through self-love, accountability, and you truly owning that sexuality that you have. With knowing that when you own your sexuality, you show up in the world differently. It has nothing to do with the physical act, but everything to do about your overall feeling and believing in you. I also have a second path that I work in, and that is with couples with their intimate literacy. So how well we speak, feel, taste, all of those things in the realm of intimacy so that you can have explosive fun in the bedroom. Tonight we are talking about, well, I titled it on Clubhouse, and then he used my toothbrush. Ew. So when we make that transition from being by ourselves, usually we get into relationships pretty early on in life. You know, there are some people who stay with their high school sweetheart forever, and so they've always been booed up. They only know how to be with someone else, and that is amazing and that is great. But then there are people like me who have jumped in and out of relationships. You don't like how someone is, and so you say, you know what, you're not for me. I start over. Well, at some point, if you're kind of going in and out of relationships, you may get to a point of, I just need to focus on me for a while. And so you go down this pathway of, what is it that I enjoy? What is it that I like? Let me put myself first. And so you live this life of self. One of the things that is in which this book is available now, guys, on Amazon, the 5 characteristics of a stimulating relationship, available in electronic form as well as this paperback. The very first section of this book is to learn yourself. Learning yourself is such an important piece of life. I won't even say of a relationship, of life. That is like the first thing that you want to try to do once you recognize that you have had people kind of jumping in and out of your life to the point where you don't even know yourself. I know many women that I've worked with and that have shared that they don't know exactly who they are. They can't figure it out. Like, oh my gosh, I've been with someone all, in and out of relationships so long that I just don't know me. And so if you're ever fortunate enough to get on that pathway of just learning who you are, learning your likes, your dislikes, your boundaries, what you will and will not accept, all of those things, you begin to exude a different essence or scent. And if that scent involves the desire to share your space with someone else, that is what you're going to give off. It's not something that you can go, you smell it? It's not that. It's truly the way you carry yourself, the language that you speak, the way that you present in your clothes, your hair, your mood and your attitude. So you start to give that radiance off of you, and someone's going to pick that up eventually. Someone's going to say, your aura, your whatever that scent that you're giving off has attracted me to you. And so they're going to want to come and share space with you. Well, you just worked so hard on getting on this. I know me. I have dated myself. I know exactly how I like my house to look. I know what I want my Saturday mornings to look. You just got into that place, but you're also at a place where I deserve to have someone in my life, and I want someone in my life. And so you meet this person because you've given off that scent of someone can come and share my space. And so you begin to make that transition from me to we. And I like those two words because literally me and we are almost the same thing flipped upside down. And if you really think about it, when you go from me to we, you really are flipping things kind of around. You're flipping what you know and what you've known into what you're going into and what you have to get to know. That can be scary. That can be extremely scary. Scary for a multitude of things. The very top of that many of us don't recognize or won't admit, top, is the loss of control. Excuse me. I got a different scent in my diffuser back there, and I think that it's messing with my nose. And I had to close my window because my dog keeps barking. But that loss of control, when you finally get into a place where you feel like you have a handle on life, you know that when you get off from work, you drive home, or maybe sometimes you head out to happy hour. You kind of just do what you want to do, but you still know a structure of how things go. You wash clothes on this day. You throw your dirty clothes in a hamper. That you can leave your toothbrush here. The stuff that's in the sink. All these things that you have a handle on. Well, you just got this new person that's now sharing your space. And yes, you guys are kind of just dating right now. And so there are going to be little things that you see that may bother you a little bit, maybe a little irritating. Like, this person spent the night and I noticed that they leave the toilet seat up. And that's like a nuisance because you haven't been leaving the toilet seat up. Like, why would anybody leave the toilet seat up? That's just stupid, right? And so those things bother you. Well, you have to decide and recognize, is that me being fearful of moving forward in this transition from me to we? Or is this me not being able to control the situation? Or is it a combination of both? Because it could be, and it's perfectly okay. Hey, Auntie, thank you for joining. That's my editor there in the private Facebook group that just joined our chat. My editor for my 5 characteristics of a stimulating relationship, which I have your copy here. Unless you want it in digital form, let me know and I will email you your copy. Thank you so much. So it's scary to have someone share your space, but it's the top of that fear is usually the loss of control, because you really can't control what other people do. You can set boundaries, of course, but when you get into a place of fear, you don't actively and positively implement boundaries versus implement fear tactics. And so the purpose of me having this discussion today was for anyone who has, stepped into that new realm of sharing their space, is for them to really take that step back and recognize, am I creating red flags? Are they real flags? Am I the red flag? Am I fearful of loss of control? Or am I scared for someone to break my heart? But what I will say is, if you worked in that space of putting you first and kind of knowing your boundaries, you will be able to have that discernment and be able to recognize if someone may mean you no good, or someone means you harm. So it's probably that control factor that's really that radar of, we're going to lose control. We've been in control of us for the last year, and now someone's coming in, leaving our toilet seat up, and oh my gosh, they dried their hands on the wrong towels. So we have to be in a place that's open to taking that me, flipping that into we, and all that comes with that. How do we do that? We do that by remembering the path of self that we just were on. And while looking at that path of self that we've just created, seeing where another person complements the path of self. They don't need to necessarily get on your path of self versus being a complement to. They don't have to get in your way as you continue to grow yourself, but they can complement that growth of self. When you're able to stay on your path of growth for self and see where that new person complements it, you will feel less out of control than if you just kind of sit back, retreat, and let this person totally take over. Which in most cases, that other person is not trying to take over. But when you retreated and you stopped implementing your growth boundaries, they had no other choice but to kind of take over and ensure that the relationship at least moves forward. And so being able to not stop what you're doing, but see where the other person can complement the walk with you is going to be extremely beneficial in turning that me into we. Having those very important conversations at the very beginning of the relationship is also going to matter. It is okay for you to share your fears with the person who you've now opened yourself to share space with. The last thing you want to do is leave your growth inside of an assumption field. You don't want to assume that this new person that's coming to your life just knows what you're feeling. They just know you're fearful because you know you are, or you know yourself. That other person doesn't know you. And sometimes it could be you got back with an old flame. Doesn't matter. Who you are today and who they are today, still different people. You still have to be able to have those open conversations, especially when it comes to what you're fearful about. Now that comes with a level of vulnerability. So I'll give you this. When I talk about having a what you fear conversation, it doesn't mean you have to divulge full details down to this is something that somebody may use against me one day and blah, blah, blah. But just make it clear. Hey, I've been in some pretty, tenuous relationships in the past. I spent the last year really working on me and rebuilding myself. And so opening my space up to having you shared with me, it does make me a little bit nervous and fearful. So if it seems like I'm standoffish or that I don't want you around, I want you to point that out to me in the moment so that I'm aware of what that looks like so that I can work on that moving forward. Now, that conversation that I just had just now does not sound the same as, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death of what you're going to do to me. And I'm probably going to act all kinds of batshit crazy here. Don't touch my stuff. Don't do this. Doesn't sound the same. What I just shared was giving a little bit of vulnerability with some important facts that anyone who's about to share your space with you needs to know and understand. And the reason I say this is because what this person is going to see is what they're going to understand and believe about you. So if you're acting out that conversation that you haven't said, hey, been in some pretty bad relationships in the past. I've spent the last year working on me. So going into this relationship, I want the best, but I am a little bit, cautious and nervous. If you're just acting cautious, nervous, anxious, fearful around someone all the time, like, what are you doing? Why are you in my bathroom? Did you lock the door? Did you put the toilet seat down? Did you call me? You didn't call me at this time. If you're just acting the whole time, your actual fears, that person is going to look at you and probably try their best to get out of Dodge. And that is going to probably take you so far back in that growth pattern that you just went through, because that is going to feel like those previous hurtful relationships that you've been in, simply because you did not have a open and honest conversation at the beginning of this new shared me till we flip. Anyone who was in my midday quickie on Monday, when we talked about not living in what we don't want versus living in what we want, that is a lot to do with this. If you open yourself to share space with someone and immediately you start living in what I don't want a relationship like this, or I don't want a relationship like that, you're going to continue to bring those past relationships, fears, qualms, issues into this, versus when you've opened yourself up to share your space with this new person, saying, I want my relationship to be this. You're speaking forward. When you're able to speak forward, you action forward, you live forward, and you're able to have those forward conversations with this new person to let them know, hey, I am a little bit nervous about this newfound relationship. I do think that we should take it slow. And here's another thing that this does. This gives that person the opportunity at the beginning to decide if this is a path that they want to be on. Say you want to take things a little bit slow because you're still on your growth pattern and you don't want to disrupt that path that you're on. But this person is, oh, I'm ready to have kids. I want to be married in the next year. They now have the opportunity to say, you know what? I think I'm on a faster track path than what you are. Instead of us even going down this road, we're only like a month and a half in. Maybe we just stay close, or we just end things now. I mean, if you think about it, wouldn't you rather know that someone's not on the same path with you after 45 days versus 4 years? Yeah, I think I would. I mean, it's a bummer. It's like, well, shit, it's going to sting a little bit. But it won't be the full-blown hurt of invested years of feelings, emotions, physicalities, that growth path. Because at this point, if we're talking about that growth path that you were on, and you were seeing where they fit in to complement you, that's going to break that whole thing down. because you fit them into spaces already. Yes. So you want to make sure that you're able to put the cards on the table early. That's just the reality. And we have to stop being fearful of speaking what we want. Especially you ladies. Guys do it too, don't get me wrong. But you ladies, us, we're so scared of hurting someone's feelings, or they may not stick around, that we won't put it out on Front Street, your expectations and what you want. You don't give people the opportunity to say yay or nay to you. Instead, you kind of drag them along and be like, oh, we'll get to that later. We'll deal with that later. Cross that bridge when we get there. Well, guess what? The bridge may not be there. So now y'all got to figure out, do we jump this thing together, or do that person say, hell, I ain't jumping that canyon with you. I'm going on. I'm going back. Now you at a full-blown crossroads. Come on now. Let's get that thing out the way early. So, we've been on here for almost 30 minutes. And I won't hold you guys on here too long. What I'm hoping that you get from this, and what I always like to provoke in these conversations, is thoughts. If you're in a space where you have just broke it off with someone, take the proper time to grieve that relationship before getting into the relationship with yourself, then move on to the next. If you're in a space of, I've been on that growth path of self and I am definitely ready to invite someone into my space, the way you'll know is people will start to attract to you, because you will start to put that out, that scent out. That's how you'll know you're ready. And I want you to really think about the pieces of the conversation that I just shared with you tonight. Those things that need to happen. You need to be able to, once someone comes along, recognize, am I creating red flags? Am I the red flags? Am I just fearful of losing control? And if you recognize which one, being able to work through that. Being able to speak on the front end openly and transparently to this person what the fears are of moving forward in this newfound space of sharing, going from me to we, and also being able to share expectations and boundaries on the front end to give that other person the opportunity to say, yes, I want to walk in this with you or not. And most importantly, the most important piece, on your growth path, not allowing someone to get on your path, which stops your growth, versus finding out where they complement so that you guys can take that walk of growth together. Walk in your relationship based on what you want and not based on what you don't want. This video will be available in the private Facebook group. So for all the ladies who are catching this replay, hashtag replay and let me know your thoughts. Share your experiences with us. As women, we're in this group to grow, support, and encourage each other. And that's what I want to give to you every day if I can. For you guys who are catching this on YouTube or on Instagram, feel free to share this out to anyone who you feel will be able to benefit from this discussion. And you here in Facebook land, if you're catching that replay, hashtag replay. And of course, let me know your thoughts. I'm here every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for O.P.P Vibes, where next week we are going to be talking about, it's going to be a good one, y'all. Does money equal power in the household? That's been a big discussion. So we're going to talk about that. And then on Friday for the Midday Quickie. The Midday Quickie is for ladies by ladies, all about women-centered topics. And that topic on Friday is going to be, she's not bitter, she's broken. That is only a 30-minute discussion that we do at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is during your lunch break. Remember, everyone who is watching, the 5 characteristics of a stimulating relationship is available right now on Amazon. Get your copy. You can get it for Kindle Reader, so it's available in electronic form as well as this paperback. It is the 5 pillars that every single relationship that you have or are ready to build needs to have in order to be healthy and thriving. Oh, before I forget, I have the 30 days of intimacy that is going to start on November the 1st. 30 days of intimacy. And guess what? None of those 30 days involve intercourse. This is 30 days of you learning new and or different intimacy practices that you can express on a daily basis with everyone in your life. So if you want to be a part of the 30 days of intimacy, you can click the link that is on my Facebook and on my, just Facebook. It's in the private Facebook group. For everyone else, if you text the word intimacy to 804-967-4551, you will be able to get and join the 30 days of intimacy that will begin on November the 1st. You'll get a new intimacy expression every single day of November. So that's all I have for you guys. Oh, and don't forget, you can register for the 2nd annual Fools in Love Couples Retreat that is coming up in 2022. Get your registration now. And the Intimate Moments Academy. You can get your ticket. Ticket prices do go up October 31st, so get your tickets now. It's only $35. All of your supplies that you will need will be included. I think that is all I have for you guys. So thank you for joining me tonight. Enjoy your evening. I know I will. And I will see y'all back for the next O.P.P Vibe, formerly known as Sex and Relationship Chat. Night, everybody.